To make my dragon horns, I followed a YouTube tutorial video that I will link below in the description. It was exactly what I was looking for. I'm very grateful that I could find it, and I used some just leftover cardboards that I had at home and made these little circles exactly in the way that they are described in the tutorial video. And then I used some not very reliable paper tape, I think it is. And so for the first part it is exactly as it is described in the video, and then for the second part, so since I want to paint this I want to make them harder, because it was also like this tape that I'm using is not very good, so it was not very stable and not fixed. So I proceed on with this pretty old technique, I would say, that is to use the liquid glue mix with the water, and then I'm using in this case some newspapers, old newspapers. I prefer to use toilet paper, but because it is also much nicer to work with. The newspapers are very dirty, and I would suggest maybe using gloves if you're using newspapers. And I also have the feeling that with toilet paper the final result is much harder than the newspaper. But yeah, this is what I had, so I proceed on with this technique, covering all the horn, and in this case it was empty inside, so it was kind of like easy to make because I could handle it from the inside with one hand and then proceed on applying all the newspaper stripes with the other hand. I did this twice, so one time covering all the horn, and then another time the next morning when it was dried. Once I was satisfied with the consistency and the hardness of the horns, I proceed on with the painting. In my case, you see that I'm just applying the color as it is on the newspaper. But I think that I would suggest you to first paint it all white once and then go with the color that you want to give. In my case, I didn't have much time, and I also was not to paying too much attention to the accuracy and so on, but it's okay. I mean, you cannot see the newspaper below, but maybe it's better if you first paint white, especially if you want light color on your horns. In my case it was dark color, so it didn't matter that much. So I had some leftover acrylic. These are very cheap acrylic colors, so maybe they're not the best to work with, but they could work for my project. And so then I went to the store and bought some other colors, because in my case the horns are dark gray, which I had, black and white, but then the tip is like dark red, violet, so I bought also red and yellow tubes. Then I start to mix for the dark gray base, the white and the black. It's absolutely random what I do. I don't have any experience on this, so I'm just going with my feelings, with my intuition, and so it's taking also a little bit of time to find the right color. I don't know if it's because of the quality of these acrylic colors, but the paste was not very easy to mix. And then I just start painting the first layer. So I go on with the base up to the half of the horn and do the same on the other horn. Then it comes the most experimental part, because I wanted to have, as I said before, the tip, which is another color like red violet, dark red violet. But if you see my sona, like what I do digitally, which is very easy to do, is to make a gradient. So I wanted to replicate the same gradient also on the real horns, and so I'm starting by adding to the previous dark gray base some red. So slowly, just little by little, I'm adding some red, and so I'm getting a little bit more purple gradient, purple tone for the paint. And so I proceed on like this, adding more and more red until the last part of the tip, where I also adding a little bit of yellow and more red and a little bit of white. And actually the color that is resulting from this is not exactly what I expected, but I think that the gradient result is pretty nice. After the base paint is done, I did it all once for both the horns. I let it dry, and then what I proceed on is to make a little bit the shadows and the lightnings. So you can see that it is already looking good, but I wanted to give it a bit more like realistic touch, and so I'm just using the colors that I had in the palette that I was using, and I just add some black, so to make it like a little bit of darker color, and then I go to highlight with the darker color those joints in between, so the in between joints, and try to make it like if it was like a real shadow. So the effect is that one of the shadows, so I'm just trying to give it a shape that it doesn't really have. And so I go on like this for all the little steps and onto the other horn as well, and then I proceed on with the highlights. So in the middle center line I do the opposite, so I add to the base color some white and try to have a more bright color, so to have like a reflection on that part. Once it dried, I proceed with the last part, which is my favorite part, and which is the part where I'm using this like transparent glossy fluid paint to go over all the horn and make it a little bit of a glowing effect. It is also sealing, so it's really like giving like the perfect final touch for me. So this is also really fun to do because you don't have to, it's very relaxing to do. And I also bought this brush just for this part because I didn't want to ruin my watercolor brushes. And so yes, and then I let it dry, and then I go on to the very last part, which is figuring out a way to how to attach the horns to my head. So last time that I created some similar kind of craft prop to place it on my head, I used some magnets and some hairpins. So I was thinking about using the same mechanism. So I'm placing at the bottom of the horns, I'm placing some of the remaining magnets that I have, and just using like a normal glue, like a stronger type of glue. And but in this case it is a little bit more tricky because the base of the horn is flat and my head is not, thankfully. So I already knew that while I was attaching the magnets that it was probably was not going to work, but yeah, I didn't have any choice but to try. So this is also another experimenting part of the process. So I just came back from the store and I was using these little magnets, because I had some leftovers, and so I went to buy the same ones, but I discovered that there were some more like stronger ones that I had no idea. I was thinking about having one clip here and the other one clip here, and I tried with this. It is stable, but I was thinking maybe to make it like a little bit more comfortable I could add another one here, so 3 of these pins. But yeah, I bought this anyways. I don't know if I'm gonna use it for the other horn, because maybe just to try a more like powerful magnets. So yeah, let's see. First, let's see how it goes with the 3 clips on this one. Okay, so I'm gonna try this one with the 6 little magnets, and I'm gonna put these hairpins a little bit here, a little bit on the back side of my hand, because I don't want it to stand like this. I would like it to stay a little bit like this. I should have molded it this way, but I realized that it was too late. And I'm gonna place the pins not like this, not in this direction, but in horizontal, like transversal. Due to the curvature of the head, and this part where the magnets are is flat, so it's gonna, you can see that it's like a little bit lifted here. It's not very stable. I mean, I don't think that in any ways this is gonna be stable. I should minimize my head movements. Oh, but this is working well. It's a little bit heavy, so I don't know if I can wear it for long hours. But it's not that bad. For this other horn, I used all the sizes because why not? And this is actually working better than I expected. I was wearing this when I was making this, and it's not that uncomfortable. It's a little bit heavy, but not impossible. So now the challenge is to place it in a way that is symmetrical. This looks more like a demon than a dragon. Maybe I should change the direction. In this way, they are rotated with respect to how I wanted them and how I draw my sona. But it's actually, of course, it's more stable because of the physical law of the real world. Oh. This may be good. Oh, okay, we found it. So I'm sure there is a faster and smarter way to do this, but I'm happy with the result, so I don't care. How it's seen from the side, from the back. So it hurts a little bit, my hair. So I think it's better to use it with a wig and not your real hair. But this time I'm just gonna use my own hair, so well, I will just see how much I can resist. But yeah, I hope you like it. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!